This podcast also, I hope that it reaches people who are like just starting or want to get into journalism. I want to ask, like, how do you land a gig at a BBC? How does one get a job at the
It
BBC? And what was your path and what do you do? How does one get that job?
partially is having a good mentor, someone who really believes in you. You and I worked in the same newsroom, and I had Jerry, who really believed in my capabilities.
So how did you meet Jerry?
AP had a great global news
Mm.
internship program that they had 20 people internationally and 20 people in the
Yeah.
US every year. And it's funded, you're paid basically to do a rotation on three different desks, photo, video,
Hmm.
text.
And then from there, how did you hear about? Because you went on from AP to BBC. So how did you find
Yeah.
out about the BBC job, and what was that process like
So
to get that?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I think when I was at AP, I think having someone who is a mentor to you who really believes in your capability is very important. So Jerry, my boss on the video team, introduced me to Joe Floto, who was heading the bureau in Beijing back then. So when he was visiting the Bangkok bureau, I went to meet him, and he gave me a chance to try out. And during that time, there was a big political meeting happening in Beijing, so he really needed people. So I was able to join the
Wow,
BBC on
that's so
a
cool.
freelance base at the
Wow.
beginning.
Okay. So you got a freelance position with them, and then how long was that? And then they opened up. They said, "Hey, we're going to keep you on," or there was a job that you applied for, or where did that lead to?
So that was 2012 when China was just becoming quite important in the international arena. Um, um, we really needed people back then, so they created a position for me, which I was also very lucky for. I stayed with the BBC for 6 years, and then I decided, BBC is such a big ship. I've sort of known the China operation a lot. There's a lot of restriction for Chinese nationals working inside China for foreign
Yeah.
media. So I decided to sort of change course and see what the outside world is like. And back then, that was when South China Morning Post was bought by Alibaba, and they had a lot of investment to expand their new media, expand their video production capacity. So I thought that was a good opportunity. So I took the job and then started this. I was one of the people who founded this app called Inkstone News, and it was covering China-U.S. relations, and I was doing
Wait.
video
So
and text
whoa.
together.
You're saying that so nonchalantly. So you also founded this app? I didn't know that with Inkstone. I always saw your stuff in Inkstone. I didn't know you were part of founding that.
Well, I was part of the founding
That's
team.
awesome.
Actually, Juliana Leo, who was also
Yeah.
BBC, she basically established the team with a lot of BBC people.
Cool.
So the team really
And you were
took
doing like a
off.
lot of really cool video with that project.
Yeah, so it allowed me to. I had a lot of freedom with the project. I write a lot, and I did a lot of videos for them, which is really great.
Yeah.
And then very quickly, I learned that there was opportunity opening in the US, so I decided to transfer here. And I actually started the South China Morning Post's video production in New York. I hired associate producer to work with me. I was able to do more short films than just newsy
Hmm.
pieces. Um, this is the right time to be here as a Chinese journalist because of what's going on with the China-U.S. relations.
For sure.
Everything is the U.S. is
Definitely.
looking inward, and journalists are being expelled, and Chinese journalists are getting visa restrictions. So this is really the time that we really need good reporting on the ground. But I've sort of shifted gears again. Now I'm covering only U.S. news, but still watching
Yeah.
very closely what's going on with the U.S.-China
Right. And, so,
relations.
and then after that, now you've come back to join BBC. So I mean, this is what's interesting
Yeah.
about like the path of career progression is that in the beginning you would not see where you are now because it's impossible to see, but you just followed one stone, one step to the next, and now you're back in the States, and you're running the cut through the noise right now with BBC, right?
I'm one of the
Cool.
producers.
So which is now like the social media platform, BBC. It's primarily on Facebook, right? Is it anywhere
It's
else? Only
only
on
on
Facebook, right?
Facebook.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But we normally repurpose the show for the web as
Yeah.
well. It's targeting younger audiences in the US who are interested in cutting through the noise because there's a lot of
It's a
breaking
lot
news
of
happening.
information.
So we're trying to understand the yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it's interesting because when I was working in Beijing in the BBC bureau, I've applied for. I was thinking about, getting an attachment in Washington D.C. because I was really interested in sort of expanding my skill set. I don't want to just be focused on China, but I wasn't able to do it. But like you said, I think with my eyes looking at this covering the U.S., I was able to do it with other organizations, and now eventually I arrived at what I wanted to do
That's awesome.
um,
Cool.
earlier.